So, George, what's the greatest challenge in making a film like that? I mean, what's the...
And just, it's technically difficult, but the most difficult thing, the thing that's the biggest challenge on every single film, whether it's Lorenzo's Oil or Mad Max or any film, is story. But story is a shorthand word for, it's not plot, of course, but its story is the experience that is basically the experience of the audience, the collective audience in it, and how moment to moment, the storyteller invites them into the world and the dynamics between the characters. And the more I work, the more mysterious it becomes, the harder it is to grasp. You gather some tools or whatever, but more and more, as I was alluding to actors before, you load up on as much kind of cerebration and intellectual stuff that you can. But ultimately, in its execution, you just give over to your instincts. And that's more and more, I'm just getting to understand that. And all the rest, all the syntax of filmmaking, all the technical side of filmmaking, and everything else is basically driven by that.
So it's the preparation, really, that it takes a long time. I know you take years sometimes too.
For my sins, I like writing. I don't actually call it writing because it's a continuum for me. I don't know where the writing stops and the directing begins. I don't know where the directing stops and the producing begins. And now, born again in distribution, I don't know where the filmmaking stops and the distribution begins. It's all. If you've got to see it as a continuum, and if you can't, on my customs form, I don't put film director or film writer or film producer. I put filmmaker, and what I should put is storyteller, but I just put filmmaker, and so it's all part of the process, So I think even writing, even the way I tend to like to present, every single screenplay that we've written in recent years that has been green-lit within hours of the studio head reading it, and it's because I don't think we even think about. I mean, it drives me nuts. So who's a screenwriter here? Anybody screenwriting?
We can't.
A few hands. It drives me nuts the way we present screenplays. There's no reason in the world why you should put interior kitchen night. It's tautological. And yet everybody, the world's best screenwriters, still put that in there.
So how would you do it?
But nobody asks the question, why?
Yeah.
Does anyone know why you put interior kitchen night or day? Does anyone have any idea why we do it? But you do it, we do it. I can tell you, get a screenplay from Steve Zalian or any one of the hot writers in Hollywood still have it. The reason why we do it is it predates word processors. Because the AD, the first AD, takes those strip boards, which don't exist anymore, and he writes in interior, kitchen, day. And those strip boards, and he gathers all the interior kitchen scenes and puts them in the strip board. And it was the day. It was basically a way that the studio could produce the film, so that it was a way to organise the film. But now we have word processors. We have our computers now, and there's absolutely no reason to do it. And to read interior kitchen interrupts the flow of the story. So I often say to people, think about the person, your audience. Think about who's reading it. You've got a studio executive who's got 6 screenplays to read that night. One's from Jim Cameron. One's from, I don't know, Martin Scorsese. They've got the things that have come up to the surface, and someone's got to decide whether or not they're going to be made they're going to decide whether that weekend whether they're going to make it, And they sit there, and most of them, every single one of them tells you they dread reading the screenplay. Because most times they're going to be disappointed, no matter how much buzz there is about it. They dread it. So think about that person who has to read that screenplay. They have a bottle of wine with them, and a glass of wine, and it's 9 o'clock, and they've either got the kids to bed, and they start to read the screenplay. And I say, okay, you've got to make that screenplay so interesting that they're going to turn. So I put pictures in the screenplay. I definitely avoid tautology. I make it as readable and as flowing as possible, and so that people can actually experience it. But everybody, I still don't know why they do it. They oh, that looks like a screenplay. You go, oh, they put the lines and the numbers and it sets out like a screenplay, but it's boring. I get one of those and I say, oh, I don't want to read it. It's like, and so I like to spend a lot of time on that, and then. That's even the beginning on something like a Happy Feet in this new digital age. Your film is evolving over and over again. And I was pretty close to what was happening on Lord of the Rings. And the way, through Andrew Lesnie, who shot the Babe movies, and they, most of their time and reshoots were just evolving the story and whatever on film, or at least on in the editing suite. And digitally and so on. This digital age, you can do that. So we were writing right up into the end of Happy Feet. I mean, you can't radically change everything, but we were changing. You can in the digital. You don't have to, in the digital realm, you can bring your actors back. If you've got the voices, you can actually, it's pretty easy to get an extra word or two from people. And so the writing went right up until the day we said, okay, the movie's finished.